For most of human history, stone has been treated as the beginning of civilization's story, not its technology. We are taught that stone is what humans used before they knew better. Before writing, before metal, before machines, stone in this view is primitive, passive, inert. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if stone was not merely the first material humanity used, but the first medium humanity learned to control? Across the world, long before writing systems emerged, long before recorded history, ancient cultures invested extraordinary effort into shaping stone with extreme precision. Not for shelter, not for defense, and often not even for burial. They carved chambers that resonate at specific frequencies. They aligned massive structures with invisible forces in the earth. They selected particular types of rock, granite, basalt, limestone, not at random, but consistently across continents. And they did so without leaving us instructions. This raises a question modern archaeology rarely asks. What if these structures were not symbolic at all? What if they were functional? Modern science now recognizes something ancient builders may have known intuitively. Stone is not inert. Granite, one of the most commonly used stones in ancient monuments, contains quartz, a mineral that produces an electrical charge when compressed or vibrated. This phenomenon, known as piezoelectricity, is the foundation of modern clocks, radios, and digital memory systems. Basalt, another favored stone, can become magnetized. Once aligned with a magnetic field, it can retain directional information for thousands of years. Limestone, often dismissed as soft and decorative, resonates easily. Certain forms amplify low-frequency sound, particularly in the range produced by the human voice. In isolation, these properties seem incidental. But when they appear together, repeatedly, globally, and deliberately, they begin to suggest intent, not decoration, not ritual, engineering. Consider the ancient underground chamber known as the Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni on the island of Malta. Carved entirely from limestone over 5,000 years ago, it contains a small chamber often called the oracle room. When a human voice speaks at a specific pitch, the entire complex vibrates. Sound travels through the stone walls, amplifying and sustaining the tone in a way that affects the human nervous system. Modern acoustic tests have shown that this resonance occurs at frequencies associated with altered states of consciousness. The builders shaped this space deliberately. The resonance is not accidental. It cannot be heard anywhere else in the structure. This is not decoration. This is tuning. Similar acoustic properties appear thousands of miles away in Chavín de Huántar, high in the Peruvian Andes. Here, a labyrinth of stone corridors channels sound through narrow passageways. Shell trumpets discovered at the site were designed to produce low-frequency vibrations that travel through the complex in controlled ways. When played, sound behaves unnaturally. It seems to move, to surround, to disorient. The stone does not merely reflect sound, it shapes it. And this shaping is consistent with intentional acoustic design, something modern architecture only rediscovered in the last century. At Newgrange in Ireland, a massive stone mound predating Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids, a long corridor leads into a central chamber. For a few days each year, during the winter solstice, sunlight travels the entire length of the passage and illuminates the chamber floor. This alignment is often described as symbolic, but the chamber itself has another property: resonance. Low-frequency sound introduced into the space creates standing waves that interact with the stone geometry, producing pressure points that can be felt physically within the body. The builders did not simply align stone with the sun, they aligned stone with time. These sites are often treated as isolated marvels. They should not be. When examined collectively, a pattern begins to emerge, one that spans continents, cultures, and thousands of years. The same types of stone, the same geometries, the same acoustic behaviors, the same alignments to earth-based forces rather than celestial myths. This suggests a shared technological language, not symbolic but physical. A system. Modern data storage relies on abstract symbols, ones and zeros encoded into silicon. But information does not require symbols to exist. Information can be stored as patterns. as alignments, as states of matter. In physics, memory is not always written. Sometimes it is arranged. Certain materials remember stress. Others retain magnetism. Others store vibrational modes. Stone can do all three. What if ancient builders were not storing words, but conditions? What if stone structures acted as physical memory devices, recording environmental data through alignment, magnetization, and resonance? Not information meant to be read, but information meant to persist. Across the ancient world, massive stone structures appear at latitudes associated with geomagnetic behavior. Some are aligned not with true north, but with magnetic north as it existed at the time of construction. This is not speculation. Geological surveys have confirmed magnetic anomalies around multiple ancient sites, anomalies that do not match current magnetic conditions, but align with paleomagnetic data. The stone remembers where the field once was. In effect, these sites may function as timestamps, physical records of the Earth's internal state. This would explain why alignment mattered so deeply to ancient builders, not symbolically but functionally. They were anchoring something to the planet itself. Now consider geometry. Sacred geometry is often dismissed as mysticism, but geometry governs wave behavior. Standing waves form predictable patterns inside enclosed spaces. Nodes, points of stillness, and antinodes, points of maximum movement, are determined by shape. When ancient chambers repeatedly use the same ratios, the same curves, the same dimensions, they produce the same internal wave behavior. The space itself becomes a filter, a resonator, a stabilizer. Information is not written on the walls. It appears when the system is activated. If this sounds abstract, consider a modern parallel. Researchers have successfully stored vast amounts of data inside quartz glass using lasers, encoding information as nanoscale structural changes. This data is invisible, unreadable without activation, and capable of lasting for millions of years. Stone-based memory. Without electricity, without symbols. Now ask the uncomfortable question. If modern science is only now rediscovering this capability, why are ancient stone structures shaped as though someone already understood it? When viewed through this lens, ancient monuments stop looking ceremonial. They start looking infrastructural. Stone circles become nodes. Mounds become stabilizers. Chambers become processors. Not machines in the modern sense, but systems. Systems designed to interact with the Earth itself. This reframes a long-standing mystery. Why did ancient cultures with limited tools invest enormous labor into structures that did not improve survival? Why build something so permanent in a world defined by impermanence? Unless permanence was the point. Stone is slow. Stone resists time. Stone holds state. If these systems existed, why did they disappear? The answer may be simple. They were not portable. Stone technology does not scale easily. It requires location-specific knowledge, long-term planning, and generational continuity. When climates shifted, when cultures collapsed, when knowledge transmission broke, the system died. Writing replaced resonance. Symbol replaced structure. Portability replaced permanence. Knowledge became lighter. And in doing so, something was lost. Modern society now builds data centers, vast structures dedicated solely to storing and preserving information. They require cooling, power, maintenance, and constant protection. Ancient builders may have achieved something similar without electricity by embedding memory into the planet itself. If so, then the world's oldest stone structures are not monuments to belief. They are artifacts of a forgotten science. One we misidentified as religion because we no longer understand its function. This does not require aliens. It does not require advanced civilizations erased from history. It requires only one assumption, that ancient humans were not primitive, just different. They worked with the materials they had, and they chose stone not because it was simple, but because it remembered. If stone once stored knowledge, what knowledge was it storing? Environmental stability? Geomagnetic behavior? Planetary cycles? Or something else entirely? We may never know, because unlike written records, stone does not explain itself. It waits. And perhaps the most unsettling thought is this. If ancient builders understood how to store information in stone, how much of that information is still there? not hidden, not encrypted, just inactive, waiting for the right conditions to be heard again.